Hi everyone, this is Divya from Quick Mommy Hacks, and today we'll talk about decoding vaginal discharges with Dr. Ankesh Sahitya. So, Dr. Ankesh is a gynecologist, obstetrician, and reproductive endocrinologist in Mumbai. He has experience of over 11 years in this field. Dr. Ankesh practices at Pushpa Hospital in Mumbai, and he's also trained for laparoscopic tubal sterilization and ultrasonography. He has been a part of over 200 gynac endoscopy cases at various government and private hospitals. He is an assistant honorary at Oshiwara Maternity Home. He also has vast experience in handling various obstetric emergencies, and he has won several awards and prizes for his work at Foxy and international conferences. Hi, Dr. Ankesh, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here to talk about vaginal discharge, and it's great to have you.
A pleasure is all mine. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so I'll move to my first question, which is what is the role of vaginal discharge in the female reproductive system?
So basically, if the vaginal discharge, if it's normal, then it's a good thing. It's a protective barrier. It's like how the skin exfoliates, the vaginal mucosa exfoliates every day or every week or every month, and the vaginal discharge gets shed off. Now, normal vaginal mucosa also is protective to various infections. There
Mhm.
are very important microflora, which is the lactobacillus species, which reside in the vagina permanently, and they protect the vagina from various, fungal and bacterial infections. So the vagina getting exfoliated is a good sign that the new cells are coming up, and this is the normal phenomena of how all the organs and all the cells of the body work. So
Okay.
just the vagina is an open organ, so the exfoliated cells they come out. It
Mhm.
appears as discharge. That's all.
Okay. So, during the menstrual cycle, how does the normal discharge vary in color, smell, texture, frequency, and volume? If you can shed a light on that.
Sure. So basically, when before a girl is about to get her periods, before that, so it's twice in the month actually. Before the periods and mid cycle, where a girl gets a little discharge. The discharge is usually it's something called as leukorrhea. Leukorrhea is nothing but it's colorless, odorless, painless discharge, which is like white, transparent. As the period starts, it comes into spotting, little pinkish, brownish. You know how a girl gets her periods. Similarly, also in a mid-cycle, a girl can get something called as middle smudge syndrome. Where in the mid-cycle, she gets some spotting and little pain, abdominal cramps.
Mhm.
It happens because of ovulation,
Yeah.
and she can have little discharge even then. In fact, the discharge in mid-cycle is a sign of ovulation.
Mhm.
So this is normal. This is leukorrhea, which is colorless, odorless, painless discharge. Only when there is symptoms of itching, burning, any form of foul smell, then you worry about infection. But
Mhm.
if this is how it is, then this is a normal phenomenon.
Okay. So during the entire cycle, the menstrual cycle of 28 days, the discharge, does it change in texture or does it remain, the
So,
same?
it remains the same as far as the color, but the texture,
Mhm.
there's something called as the stretchability. It's called spin bucket phenomena. So what happens in mid cycle in the earlier days when there was no ultrasound, there were no pregnancy ovulation kits. So the vaginal discharge, it would be between two fingers and it would stretch without breaking for a long time. It's a
Oh.
sticky, persistent, and a very stringy discharge mid cycle.
Mhm.
So that's the one change in the consistency which happens normally for every girl who's in a reproductive age group from the
Mhm.
age of say 15 to 40.
Okay. And in terms of volume, does the volume of this discharge
Yes,
reduce?
yes, yes. It gets a little more in mid cycle ovulation and a little more before the periods. Otherwise, it's insignificant.
Okay, so it could actually be used as one of the indicators of when you're
So
ovulating.
in the olden times, before anything, I'm talking of medieval times, before
Yeah.
there was a urinary pregnancy kits and LH kits and sonography and laparoscopy, a vaginal discharge was used as a marker of that this patient is in a fertile phase.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Pregnancy as well, and while breastfeeding also, what is the difference in the normal, like texture, color, and smell of the normal discharge?
So,
How?
so even pregnancy is a lot of discharge, which gets more and more towards the end of pregnancy. So during pregnancy, the blood supply is very high to the vagina and the uterus, extremely high to the vagina and the uterus. So whenever any organ receives a lot of blood supply, it even sheds a lot. So again, when the uterus is receiving a lot of blood, it is holding a pregnancy, but the vagina exfoliates tenfold when it's in a pregnant uterus. So the vagina is very vascular. There's a
Mhm.
word. This is called as hydroria gravidorum.
Mhm.
So this means in Latin that the very liquefied vagina.
Mhm.
birth canal. So basically, what happens over here is that excessive discharge, to the even sense that it could be like a liquidy discharge. A woman might feel, she might feel at 30 weeks that she's leaking. She's
Mhm.
higher amniotic membranes have burst. So this could be even one sign of that.
Mhm.
But this doesn't happen all the time. But yes, normal discharge. But again, a pregnant woman should always update her gynec about her discharge.
Yeah.
Also, she should check for any foul smell, itching. Very, very often we have pregnancy with having fungal infection. It's called candidiasis,
Mhm.
which is also called as the yeast infection, which is commonly called yeast on the social media and the network.
Yeah.
So that's something which happens very occasionally in pregnancy, and that can be treated in pregnancy in a very similar way to the non-pregnant. But of course, you should not self-treat. You should always go via a gynecologist.
Mhm. So, but otherwise, tell us a little bit more about, what is the abnormal discharge? What are the symptoms, color, smell, texture? Like, how should we know that it's an abnormal discharge?
Yeah. So anything which is not normal. Normal is basically like the white, transparent, odorless, painless, colorless discharge.
Mhm.
Any discharge which causes itching, pruritus, foul smell, or both, or just a little pain or burning. This
Mhm.
is when you have to think of infections. And then, according to the doctor, the gynecologist will examine you. And
Mhm.
any altered color, like if he notices a curdy white discharge, he'll think of yeast infection. If
Mhm.
he notices something which is grayish and a little foul smelling, he'll think of bacterial vaginosis.
Yeah.
Then if there's greenish, yellowish discharge, that's really bad. That could be an STI like trichomoniasis or gonorrhea,
Mhm.
and it's really bad. And the woman will be in a lot of pain. There'll be labial swelling. The clitoris will be swollen, and a lot of things. And these are STIs. We see a lot in the current youth who are having multiple sexual partners and a lot of these STIs quite early.
Mhm. So one question is, of course, you described about like, what could the things that it could be yeast infection and bacterial vaginosis and so on. But what causes this abnormal discharge? And are some women susceptible to having like these infections more than others?
Yeah. So basically, it's not candidiasis and yeast is not usually sexually active. It's basically excessive sweating, hygiene issues. If you're wearing these non-cotton clothes, lycra, nylon, synthetic polyester clothes for a longer time, and you can't breathe so well. The clothes are very tight.
Mhm.
So excessive sweating, excessive moisture, excessive heat, like going to the gym for a couple of hours in those nylon tights, and then spending an hour to come back home, change them. So they are not pure cotton at all. So when you're not pure cotton, you end up getting a lot of infection.
Mhm.
Also, the pubic area has a lot of hair growth. So hair growth produces a lot of sweat bacteria. So all this is like hand in glove as to cause fungal infection.
Yeah.
Fungal infection thrives in areas of where there's moisture, heat, and
Mhm.
warmth. So this is how they occur in the vagina very often, as a
Mhm.
part of yeast infection. And a woman complains of curdy white discharge, excessive pruritus, to the extent where she can't sleep.
Mhm. Okay. So do you think like some women are more susceptible to these?
Women who have high blood sugars, women who are excessively having diabetes, having raised blood sugars, and the lack of the perineal hygiene, the excessive moisture,
Mhm.
not maintaining adequate hygiene, they are more susceptible.
Okay. More common during pregnancy time as well?
So yeah, candidiasis gets happens in pregnancy very often because of this, because excessive blood supply, excessive foliation, and sometimes in the diet there could be a little deficiency of probiotics,
Mhm.
which is lactobacillus and the gut bacteria and the vaginal bacteria. They're very similar, so those can cause excessive candidiasis, deficiency of the good probiotics.
And do you think you heard a lot in all these questions that we talked about? But some of the women had been reaching out to know the differences in the color of the abnormal discharges or even
Sure,
normal discharges.
sure, sure.
So I'll go through some of the colors, and then if you can just like once, decode
Sure.
basically all the
I'll try my best. I'll try
yeah,
my best.
yeah, that would be really helpful. So
Yeah.
one of the color, of course, let's start with the clear or milky white discharge.
Nothing to do. If it's clear, milky white, but again, you have to mention to me about the any odor or any symptom. If there's odorless, painless, colorless, milky white discharge, कुछ भी नहीं करना है. Milky मतलब milky white, कुछ नहीं करना है.
Okay. And then white and lumpy discharge.
Yes. So if it's curdy, white, lumpy, it is probably yeast infection or candidiasis.
Okay.
But again, very often I've seen patients who have curdy discharge, not curdy, they have lumpy, thick discharge with no symptoms. Very often, this is even seen premenstrual also in many women and in pre-ovulation. So nothing to do again.
Okay. And then gray discharge.
Yes, gray discharge. probably will be foul smelling, and that looks to be bacterial vaginosis.
Mhm.
And this woman requires treatment with some nice antibiotic tablets, some vaginal pessaries. This requires help, and this is probably going to she'll come to you with foul smell, and the grey discharge is always together.
Okay. And then green and yellow.
STI for sure, trichomoniasis or gonorrhea, no
Okay.
question. You'll have an inflamed vagina, inflamed cervix. She will barely allow you an internal examination. You look into the vagina, you will get a foul smelling greenish yellowish discharge.
Okay. Okay. And then brown.
Brown could be two things. Either it's a pregnancy induced bleeding, or it's a period which starts off as spotting, or
Mhm.
very, very rarely, it could be an infection which is a little, blood stained, because a woman might have infection during her periods. So
Yeah.
that. But brownish is usually to do with blood, or it could be there's nothing at all, not to worry.
Okay. So it
But if
will.
you have a patient who has a brown discharge and not getting her periods, always rule out pregnancy.
Mhm.
She might be unmarried girl, sexually active. Always do a urine pregnancy test and then move ahead.
Okay. And then pink.
Pinkish, don't worry. If it's pinkish, it's probably her periods have just started, or this is how a flow of spotting starts, and don't worry at all.
Okay.
Or
And then,
also very important. Now you mentioned the word pink. Now this is not very common.
yeah.
Any sign of cervical erosion, any cervical cut during intercourse, any injury. Very oftenly we see girls who have had intercourse and it's a little like a little rough, not well lubricated. There could be a small vaginal laceration, tear, cervical erosion. So also check into that.
Okay. Okay. And then red.
Red vaginal discharge should be only uterine bleeding.
Yeah.
But if she's getting bleeding any other time despite her periods, you should do a sonography, do a good examination for the same thing as I said, the injury or the cuts. But usually it could be something which could be hormonal, irregular periods. But if it's timing with her periods,
Mhm.
it's usually her period, the red color.
Okay. So that vaginal discharge and UTI are in some way kind of related. One is symptomatic.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the female genital organ, the anatomy of the female is a very typical thing. So the urethra is here, the vagina is here, the anus is here. So in a matter of 2.5 inches, you have three vital openings. If you have untreated or incompletely treated vaginal infection, that can cause ascending urinary infection. It's very
Okay.
commonly seen
Mhm.
where vaginal discharge not well treated, not well wiped. Now, the main thing we always educate girls is always wipe your body front to back.
Mhm.
From the front, go to the back. If
Mhm.
you wipe from back to front, you can pick up any anal matter, any fecal matter, stools or vaginal discharge, and go towards the urethra.
Yeah.
Urethra is the most sensitive and the most able to pick up infection very fast.
One of the most important question is how do you recommend that women maintain a good vaginal health to basically, so that they don't get any of these infections?
So I would say avoid using a soap in the perineum, because soap is highly alkaline. Use something like a lactacid or a pH wash, like many brands now. That's one thing. Secondly, a frequent gynec examination every 6 months to at least once in a year. Get a gynec checkup done
Mhm.
if you're sexually active for sure. Thirdly, I would say always if you're having intercourse, if you're not with your regular partner, if you're not active with somebody, if it's a new thing, always wear a condom. Ask your partner to wear a condom, because again, you don't know how to trust anybody. You know how these STIs spread. It's like a ping pong phenomena. You be with somebody else. You might be innocent, but that guy might have been with somebody else. So again, uh, safe sex,
Mhm.
uh, toilet hygiene, avoid public toilets, pure cotton clothes, cotton undergarments, a good pH wash for your perineum,
Mhm.
and that's it. A good water intake and a lot of good probiotics in your body. Like if you can take a probiotic capsule, say every alternate day or every day in the morning, it's a good habit to prevent anything.
Okay. Yeah, I think this was really helpful and it was a lot of information. So thank you so much for your time and thank you for
My
joining.
pleasure, Divya. Thank you for calling me, and I really appreciate you calling me to your platform and asking me to join you. Very kind of you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, this brings me to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Quick Mommy Hacks, and follow me on Instagram for some personal tips on pregnancy, childbirth, and motherhood. Also, do leave your feedback and feel free to ask questions in the comment section.